Hello everyone, I'm Olivia Babel. I'm a French artist who creates handwoven textile art pieces using techniques learned during my apprenticeship at the Ecole de Beaux-arts. All of my artworks are made with fabric, wool and cotton thread. I exhibit internationally in cities like Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Ankara, London. Out of my desire to get closer to my audience and interact with people differently, I decided to create a training course in which I teach you how to weave simply with materials that everyone has at home. This course will allow you to realize your own textile work which you can hang in your home or give as a gift. So here we go, I'm sure it will be great. Welcome to this brand new course. In this first video, you will learn the plain weave technique. The plain weave technique is the most basic and most commonly performed type of weaving. To carry out this weaving, here's the equipment we need. A frame of A4 size, two pairs of adhesive to secure the frame, a weaving shuttle. If you have not weaving shuttle, you also can use a marker or a pen. You also need 2 skeins of cotton yarn, a pair of scissors, a big needle, and a ruler. If necessary, you can find the equipment references in the resources tab. We start by taking the first thread of one of the balls and wrapping it around the frame, top left, before tying a double knot. Once the knot is made, we cut the end of the thread. Then, we start wrapping it around the frame, up and down, then from bottom to top. We repeat this movement 7 times. We check that the strings are tight and cut the end of the last thread, leaving a margin so that we can tie it to the end of the frame. Once the double knot has been made, the assembly of the warp thread is over. Don't forget to cut off the excess thread. We take the ruler and position it at the top of the frame, between the strings, so that we can reposition them 2 cm or 0.8 inch apart. We perform the same operation at the bottom of the frame. Precise assembly ensures a straight and impeccable weave. We take them our adhesives and place them at the top and at the bottom of the frame. This step ensures that the frame won't move during the weaving. Once the frame is secured, we can now pick up our cotton wool and our stick shuttle. We start by taking the first thread of the first cotton wool, then we pick up the second, the one inside the ball. We do the same with the second ball. We then join the 4 threads together so that we can wrap them on the shuttle. We wrap the threads around the shuttle from right to left. The assembly should be fairly tight. Then we repeat the operation from left to right. We need to go back 3 times. Once this is done, we cut the threads. You also can do the same with a felt tip pen instead of a shuttle. The trick is to have a long and thin hand-out material to reproduce the same movement as with the shuttle. A felt tip pen or an average pen will do just fine. Here is the final result for the pen. And here is the final result for the felt tip pen. Having done this, we take the first warp thread from the right and tie a knot on it. We take the next thread and wrap a shuttle around from left to right. We do the same with the next warp thread, still winding from left to right. We make a dreary line which will give us a straight weave. This is a technique I also use in my personal work, as here with the desertic piece. We also can see it in this art piece, Garden 6. It's a skill I use to add rhythm and reliefs to my works, not necessary to secure the wave. For our projects, we continue our dreary line to the end of the row. Once that's done, we make sure our dreary is straight. Then we cut the end of the threads that had been used to make a knot. Then we run our hand inside our warp threads so that we can retrieve our shuttle. We place our threads against the previous woven ready row, making sure not to stretch them too much. We do the same for the second and last half of the row. For the next row, we take the first swap thread from behind the bottom, the second, the third, and the fourth. To be able to slide her hand over and retrieve the shuttle with her left hand. This action allows the threads to intertwine, enabling us to start weaving. We continue with the second half, always taking the lower rope threads to pass the shuttle inside. Fix the position of the threads against the low row. For the next row, from left to right, we repeat the same movement as before. For the last row, from left to right, we run our hand inside our rope thread so that we can retrieve our shuttle. We do the same thing for the second part of the row. Once we have done this, we should apply little pressures. For the next row, we repeat the same movement as before. We take the first rope thread from the bottom, the second, the third, and the fourth. To be able to slide our left hand between the rope threads and retrieve the shuttle with our left hand. Position the threads against the last row. We repeat the same movement with the second part of the row. We take the first rope thread from the bottom, the second, the third, and place our left hand inside to retrieve the shuttle held in our right hand. Position the threads against the last row. For the next row, we repeat the same movement as before. We place our right hand inside the rope threads to retrieve the shuttle and position the threads against the last row. We repeat the same movement for the next row, the moving used from the rows from right to left. You must have realized that the movements are extremely repetitive, which makes them easier to learn. Plain weaving, a technique invented in prehistoric times, has evolved enormously over the ages. Plain weaving was mostly used by women in Egypt, Mesopotamia, and Greece. Now that we have run out of thread, we pass the last piece of thread between the rope threads, making sure to place the end of the thread inside the wave. Like this, so that the thread is not visible. We pick up the 4 threads from our cotton wools and wrap them around the shuttle. We repeat the same movement as before, winding first from right to left before repeat the operation from left to right. We make 3 round trips like this. Once this action is complete, we cut the threads. After rewinding your shuttle, you leave one warp thread vacant before warping your threads around the next warp thread. You can resume weaving by picking up the lower warp threads before passing your shuttle through them. If you have stopped doing a left to right movement, resume this movement after rewinding your shuttle. We place our threads against the last row and continue until the weave is complete. We must to obtain a square. Once the weave is complete, we finish by making a 3D line. We warp our threads from left to right around the warp thread and continue the same process with the following warp threads. We now come to the last warp thread, cut our threads and place them underneath our work. Once this is done, the weave is now secure. We cut the first warp thread from the right at the top of our frame, then tie a double knot so that we can finalize our work. We then take our scissors to cut off the edge of the knot before moving on the next warp thread. Once we have done this, we'll use the same procedure for the lower warp thread. We cut the end of the lowest warp thread before tying a double knot and cutting off the ends. We can now move to the next warp thread and cut all the threads. Our work is now almost complete. We'll now cut the threads protruding from the back of our wave. Be careful not to cut too close to the wave so that it doesn't come off. We then take our needle to touch up the edges of our work if necessary. Here is the final result. Well done everyone for your works. I hope you've enjoyed this course and look forward to seeing you in the second part of the course.